It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser. In studio with me this morning is my buddy Craig Giles, owns Giles Independent Insurance Agency. And I got a number of things I want to talk about when it comes to the insurance. A lot of things going on that kind of affect our insurance right now, it seems like. And one of them is, we get these like late afternoon storms, wind picks up. Next thing you know, limbs are falling off trees or trees are being blown down and damaging property or maybe even your neighbor's property. And I certainly want to talk about some of that because that's been a little bit of an issue here of late. But, if you have any kind of insurance questions at all, you got the man in studio, Craig Giles. How you doing this morning, Craig?
I'm good, buddy. Good to see you. How's everything with you?
This is a fine day today. It's supposed to be, in the mid-80s, I think 86 or 87, something like that, but it's raining all day today. And it might as well rain as humid as it is. Good grief, is humid. I actually went out and walked about 3 miles this morning. I did.
Good for you. I didn't.
Yeah.
I had another cup of coffee.
And I was sweating before I got out the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was sweat. I don't know if it was just sweat or just that wet outside.
Yep.
But anyway, so we got a lot of things we want to talk about, but we certainly want to make sure we answer any questions you may have. The number here in studio is 799-8255. 799-8255. And I will go ahead and give you a heads up. Probably around the 9:35 time frame, I've got a dinner for two at Grecian Gardens over off of Sunset.
So you're taking me to lunch? Is that what you're saying?
We could do that. I'm going to tell you, that is so. Have you ever eat there?
Oh, I eat there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that place.
So good. George, which owns Grecian Gardens, always does really good. He kind of spoils us every time we go in there, but he's provided me with some dinner for two meals, and so we're going to be giving this away probably around 9:30 or so. So you want to be listening for that. But give us a call if you have any question, anything real estate. Give us a call 799-8255. 799-8255. Now, Craig, real quick, you own Giles. It's an independent
insurance agency, right?
And what does that mean when you say independent?
Well, insurance agents are either captive or independent. Captive means you work for one company. So folks like State Farm, Allstate, Farm Bureau, they sell for those companies only. As an independent agent, I sell for whoever I contract with. So we work directly with half a dozen different carriers. And additionally, we're brokers, which means we have access through insurance brokerages to dozens of other companies, and that helps us to deal with some specialty situations.
So you can shop around,
right? Exactly.
So
now I was a captive agent for years, and I won't plug which company, but and I like that company still, but I got tired of saying no. If I didn't have a policy that fit that client, that fit that company's guidelines, and so that's why I went independent about 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, I tell you, it doesn't cost a dime to just see, can you beat what I've got? Can I call you up and say, hey, here's what I've got right now? Can you find a company that can do me better? Yep,
absolutely. And what we tell people is that the worst case scenario is you're going to get confirmation that where you're at is where you're supposed to be.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, you might find out you got a better deal than you thought you had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, look, here's what I want to just jump right into this. Because, a lot of people, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, we went 2 or 3 days there where we had some late afternoon like thunderstorms, heavy wind came through, gusts of wind stuff. And in a neighborhood where I've got a rental property, it knocked down a lot of trees, several trees. And if it didn't knock down the whole tree, it knocked limbs out of the tree or tops out of the tree. And what I wanted to ask is, you know, if a tree should fall over the property line and damage a neighbor's property,
Right.
where's the liability there? Or if it was the tree on my property, am I liable for the damage to my neighbor's property?
The only time that you could be held liable in that situation is if it's evident that the tree is damaged, dying, and is a risk, and your neighbor has notified you and said, hey, look, this is going to be a problem. I need you to do something. Because that really speaks to the maintenance of the property. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you've got a dead tree, yeah, you should take it down. But in most situations, people don't know a tree's dead, or you can have a completely healthy tree that gets hit by one of these storms that goes down. In that case, it's not your responsibility. That's considered by the insurance companies an act of God. Mm-hmm. It's beyond your control. So if your tree falls and hits your neighbor's fence, house, garage, whatever, unfortunately, that's on them. That confuses a lot of people, and it can lead to some conflict when there's misunderstanding. But that's on them.
Yeah, and you know, and I've been on now both sides of this fence. Couple
no
years.
No pun intended.
Yeah, yeah. On the, you know, it's actually where I live now. One of my neighbor's trees fell onto my property and took down almost half of my shed in the back, and I had to fix it. I mean, I had to.
Right.
I had to pay for it, and I had to pay for it out of pocket. And I could have called my insurance company, but it seems like even if they would have paid it, and I don't even remember if they'd have paid it or not. Is that something they would have paid for that? My company?
They would have paid for it minus the deductible.
Yeah.
And in most situations, when you're talking a fence or a minor building, it's not worth filing a claim for, right?
Yep. And so I didn't even. So I wound up just paying for it myself. So and I know how aggravating it gets, but I wasn't mad at my neighbor. He didn't go out there and push the tree over on my property.
Exactly.
You know, it's just some things you just can't help.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, it's aggravating, and apparently some people, are not happy about that kind of stuff. And I don't blame you for not being happy. But sometimes we got to just be civil,
right?
And just do the things we have to do. But, you know, I know we're right up against end of our first segment. And just as a reminder, around the 9:30, 9:35 point, I'm going to be giving away dinner for two at Grecian Gardens. Awesome restaurant, very good, especially if you like Greek food. It is so good. But we'll be announcing exactly what we're going to do to give that way in a little bit. Again, we've got Craig Giles, owner of Giles Independent Insurance Agency, in studio. So if you have any real estate question or insurance question, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. The number in studio is 799-8255, 799-8255. We'll be right back with more Success in Real Estate. All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. Again, I'm Frankie Griffin. We jump right back into things around here. We don't waste time. Don't mess around. That's what you're used to, isn't it, Craig?
Absolutely.
Just get right back into it. Well, it's about 9:15 in the morning. Again, it's going to be a kind of a wet, soggy day today. If not raining, it's just going to be humid. So have your umbrellas with you ready wherever you're going. But again, Craig Giles, owner of Giles Independent Insurance Agency. So if you have any questions about insurance or real estate, we'd love to help you. And we were talking about liability, that, you know, if a tree should fall in the previous segment. But, you know, what about things like pet dogs? If I have a dog in my yard and it gets, or somebody tries to get into my yard and.
Well, that can be a little bit of a gray area. Now, if you've got a dog and he runs down the street and bites somebody, well, yeah, clearly that's your responsibility, your liability, and that's why you have liability protection included in your homeowner's policy. Now, let's say that person's trying to cause you harm or looking to see what you might have in your shed, and they jump your fence that's locked and your dog bites them, well, that's a little different situation. And the same thing would apply to a swimming pool. If you've got a swimming pool in your backyard and somebody, your neighbor has a little too much to drink and decides he wants to go for a swim and hops your fence and something happens, well, they've taken steps to enter your property without permission. You're not necessarily liable for that. But you touched on something in the last segment when we were talking about the trees. That piece of advice for all of your listeners. When you asked me if that would have been covered, and that's if you ever think that you have a claim or a potential claim, don't call your insurance company.
Yeah.
Call your agent.
Yeah.
Call your agent. And the reason I say that is because the situation we were talking about, your situation, it was probably better off for you just to pay for that out of pocket. There wasn't enough damage for you to really collect some money, or if it would have been probably a minimal amount, and your rate probably would have gone up. You probably would have lost some claim-free discount, and you'd see an increase in your rate that probably wouldn't be worth what you collected. So we advise people to always call your agent. If you call the company, you call 1-800 whoever, they're going to start a claim.
Yep.
They're going to start a claim, and that's not always in your best interest. A good agent, you should be able to pick up the phone, call them, tell them the situation, let them evaluate it, let them crunch some numbers, and they can come back to you and say, hey, this is probably what you're going to collect. This is the rate increase that you might see, and give you the information that you need to make a good decision.
And that's why I called you before
Right.
I just said, hey, Craig, look, what's the deal here? But, hey, Craig, we got a couple callers online. Let's talk to we've got Garrick on the line this morning. How you doing this morning, Garrick?
Hey, how you doing, Frankie?
Oh, this is a fine day today.
Let me say this, Frankie. I like the show, for one thing. And I'm very passionate about real estate. Always have ever since I was 20. My main thing is that I deal with a lot of real estate here in the Palmetto States, and I kind of get a lot of people from the West Coast, people that I got friends in California, and say, hey, y'all need to come check out South Carolina. You got more land, and you got concrete. It's just beautiful about South Carolina. It's a great place to invest. But the only problem is that South Carolina needs to change. And this goes for a lot of real estate, including insurance agency as well. Our property taxes, man, is just too high. I mean, something we need to do. I'm working out and starting a petition to establish an environment for residential property owners who lives in their property should no longer pay property taxes. And I think that we need to do that. And when it comes to landlord, we need to lower our percentages. I mean, you're talking like 6%. We need to reduce it about 3%. So, because that's how you get more people outside of the Palmetto State to invest money into your state. And the more money that people invest into your state, the more jobs they create. So the people, we have to get involved and talk to our county councils and city councils, elected officials, because we want the best for South Carolina. We want to be the first, not the worst, throughout the Southeast. And I'm so proud to read about all the good things that's happened to our state. We rated the number 4th best growing state in the Southeast. So we need to keep that positive going, because we don't want people to look at South Carolina as a tax state. So that's why I left New Jersey, is to come back home, because I don't want to tired of paying taxes.
Hey.
I want to listen to you guys' comment. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed day.
Well, Garrick, thank you, and I hope you have a great weekend. And, it's kind of interesting that brings that up. So let me talk about that real quick. And, it's the reality is, believe it or not, South Carolina has some of the cheapest property taxes in the country for residential property. The problem is we have some of the most expensive property taxes in the country for everything other than owner-occupied property. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk, and I think you were talking about 6% assessment rate, it can be a very massive amount of taxes. And so, but if it's a residential owner occupied property, the taxes you're paying on that, at least when you compare to other states, is some of the cheapest in the entire country, if not the cheap. I mean, we're way cheap.
Right.
But you get into the commercial side of it, or anything non-owner occupied, that's where it starts getting very expensive. And
well, it's interesting, Frankie. I'm part of the Main Street Rotary Club, and we had Mayor Benjamin spoke to us a couple of months ago, and one of the things that he pointed out as he was speaking and people were asking questions, the problem that Richland County faces, especially, is so much of the property is owned by government.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he said within the city of Columbia alone, I think it was 40% of the property is owned by government. So when so when you have that much that's owned by government that you're not collecting taxes on, it creates a revenue problem for these local entities. Now, I feel your pain. I've had rental properties in Richland and Lexington County and got out of it primarily because of the property taxes.
Yeah.
It eats you up.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It is. Let's go straight back to our phone lines, because we do have our mortgage go-to gal, Miss Erica Hill West, is on the line. How you doing this morning, Miss Erica?
I am wonderful. How are you, Frankie?
Oh, it's a fine day. You know it is.
Yes.
A fine day, and I'm sorry it took me a while to get to you, but we want our mortgage update. I know, there's a lot of stuff going on right now with stock market is at an all-time high again, it seems like. So if you got a 401k, those typically are looking pretty good. Does that have any bearing on interest rates?
Well, rates are still typically low, but the Labor Commission should come out today, and that could change rates a little bit. We'll know a little bit further, and I'll probably update something on my Facebook page to kind of see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But rates are still high threes, low fours for a 30-year fix. That's pretty phenomenal for a primary residence.
Yeah.
I do think that if they are going to move, the projections are they're going to move fast. So like we had been talking about, that Fannie and some other agency were projecting about 5% by the end of the year. The new report suggests that if it does move, it is going to move very quickly. So we could be looking at something like that, kind of like back in 2013, like overnight, if reports are accurate. So
now, when you say move, like how high are you thinking?
Oh, I mean, it could go from 4.125 to 4.875 overnight.
Oh, but not like to 8% or something.
No, I mean, I think they're projecting 5. So if you think about it from, about 4%, we're talking about a full percentage point, which over the course of 30 years is pretty significant. 5 is still pretty low, but that will be probably historically the highest rate that we've seen maybe in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So just, for people out there that are thinking about listing their property, now's a good time, because there is an influx of buyers that would really like to kind of take advantage of the lower rates before we have an opportunity to see what they do.
Well, apparently we're reading the same things. I keep hearing by the end of the year we're likely going to be around 5%.
Yeah, that's what. But I also wanted to touch on. I know everybody knows that this year, this Monday, the DC summer closed down. If anybody's listening and they happen to unfortunately lose their job and they have a mortgage and they're concerned, South Carolina State Housing does have a program that helps people in situations like this get money to pay their mortgage.
Yes.
So there are some programs out there, and if people are concerned, give me a call and I'll help point you in the right direction to get some information to see if you can get some help there.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's an excellent, but you're right. There are some programs where the state will, in some cases, make your house payment.
Yeah.
For a while, and I didn't think about bringing that up, but that's why you're the best. That's it.
Well,
right
I try.
There. How can we get in touch with you? Because I know there are a lot of people listening that that probably know somebody that's being affected, and this is a terrible time for them. Terrible. But how can we get in touch with you, Miss Erica?
You can reach me on my cell phone, which is 803-528-5019. You can email me at erica@lendingpassmortgage.com, or you can search for me on Facebook. Just search for the Mortgage Go-To Gal.
You're the best. Give them babies a hug for me.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, Frankie.
All righty. You take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You know, that was Erica Hill West, and that was an excellent I'm glad she thought about that. But state housing does have programs for things just like that, where don't quote me on this, but because, you know, these programs change a little bit, but I know they had a program, if it's not still there, where the state would actually make your house payment for up to 1 year.
Wow. And
you don't have to pay it back under those types of extenuating circumstances. So, and Erica, she is all of it. She deals with state housing all the time, so she's very, very familiar. So give her a call if you or somebody you know is affected by this layoff. What was it, like 5,000 people? 40? I forget.
Oh, yeah. The whole nuclear facility.
Oh my God! I didn't even know they had that many people working there.
I did not either.
But anyway, but you can, if you couldn't write down her information, you can go to my website, which is just frankiegriffin.com. On the home page, you'll see a link there called Real Estate Partners. Just click on that link, and it will bring up all our preferred vendors. Erica West with Lending Path. You'll also see Craig Giles listed there. So if you have any insurance questions or concerns, just give him a call. And, you know, I call you all the time. I know you said, "Oh gosh, here's Frankie again."
That's what you pay me for.
But this is
That's
one of
my
these. But this is one of these things where sometimes I wish we didn't have caller ID. I think people would answer my phone calls more often.
I don't screen you, I promise.
Well, I do.
I mean, not as far as you know.
Yeah. I said, gosh, he stays busy. That's the busiest man I know. But anyway, I'm just messing with you. No, I am really kidding, because you are very responsive, and appreciate that very much. But you know, there's just a lot of things that, you know, property owners, a lot of times we don't think about that we could have liability for. Mm-hmm. And we just don't think about stuff until things happen.
Right.
And then it's too late.
Right. And that's the job of a good insurance agent, is to keep you informed of those possibilities. So that you're making educated decisions and planning ahead.
And not just for residential and auto and stuff like that, but there's some commercial things.
There's more.
Yeah.
There's more.
And actually, we might even get into that a little bit on the other side. I know we're getting ready to take our bottom of the hour break, but I will. On the other side of the break, I'm giving away this dinner for two at Grecian Gardens. They're right there on Sunset Boulevard, so if you like Greek food, you better be paying attention.
Good stuff.
Right after the break. We'll be right back with some more Success in Real Estate. Hi, good morning and welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser, in studio with my buddy Craig Giles, owner of Giles Independent Insurance Agency. And I'm going to give away, I've got a dinner for two at Grecian Gardens. They're located, they're off of Sunset Boulevard, not too far from I-26 on Sunset. But, you know, obviously it's Greek food, but they've got so much stuff. They've got obviously your traditional Greek dinners, but they've got chicken, seafood, steaks, pizza. And, gosh, they got just a huge, huge menu of stuff to choose from. But it's really nice. Well, the first person that calls in and asks for dinner for two at Grecian Gardens, I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to make it just that simple. I'm going to give it away. The number to call is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. So if you'd like dinner for two, give us a call, and we'll hook you up with this. But you ever eat at Grecian Gardens, Craig?
I do. You know, I mean, I live out the other side of Lexington, but I come through West Columbia going downtown, and I like to meet clients there for lunch or, you know, people that refer business to us. It's a great place and been there for years. I mean, I grew up in West Columbia, so I remember when they opened, and I think I was in high school.
Well, it's just so good. I was eating there. I guess it was Wednesday night, but it was just so good. In fact, I love steak, and it was just so good. And George, he certainly spoils us every time we go in there.
Good stuff. I think that what's the half chicken, Greek chicken?
Oh man, they got. In fact, I think that's what my wife ate. Was the chicken, roasted chicken? I think.
Yeah,
but anyway,
roasted half chicken.
It was. Oh man, it was good. But anyway, it looks like our winner is going. Who is our winner? Elizabeth. We got a bunch of callers up there, but Elizabeth is on the line with us right now. How you doing this morning, Elizabeth?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, you know this is a fine day today.
I enjoy your show. It's very informative.
Well, I appreciate
and entertaining.
Well, sometimes the entertaining part is not intentional.
We all do a good job.
It just happens that way. But do you like Greek food?
Love it.
Have you ever eaten at Grecian Gardens?
Many, many times.
Oh, they're so good.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to send you. I will mail you this certificate, gift certificate.
Wonderful.
And please tell George. You know George?
I do.
Well, you tell George. I said to straighten up when you go in there to eat.
I'll do it.
Because he needs to straighten up, I can tell you. Well, if you don't mind, Elizabeth, if you would stay on the air and so Brian can get your address that I can mail this to.
Thank you very much.
And we will send it right to you. Thank you for listening.
Enjoy your show.
Thank you. Hold tight. All right. Well, Elizabeth has won the dinner for two, and apparently she is very familiar with Grecian Gardens.
Good for her.
It's going to be good. Well, let's get back. Let's talk some more insurance. And again, if anybody has any questions, real estate or insurance related, give us a call. The number 799-8255. Now, I don't know if you noticed, Craig, but every single line was lit up and going crazy.
Yep.
If you want to give them
good food.
Yeah, if you give them food.
They're calling for the food, not for me.
I could give away a donut, and they would be calling in. But so anyway, well, I'm just
you touched on the commercial a moment ago and liability there,
yep.
and so at our agency, we don't do disability, we don't do health insurance, we focus on just property and casualty. So, but that includes commercial exposures as well, and since this is success in real estate, commercial real estate's is an emphasis as well, and so we do deal with a lot of that. That's probably a third of our business is commercial exposures, and if you own commercial real estate, you have more exposures, higher liability than you do as a homeowner.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a commercial exposure, you've got whether you're renting it out to someone else to use as a business or it's your business, you've got people coming into your business or delivery people coming into your business, people that potentially, could trip or fall down or get hurt or claim that you are liable for some damages. And of course, as a business owner, you have a lot of exposure.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, it was me buzzing there. Sorry about that.
Somebody calling you.
I'm going to be in trouble. That was my mama, and I just sent her the voicemail. I'm going to be in trouble.
Well, good. I'm not the only one you send the voicemail. Okay, well, all right. Now we're good. If you're sending your mama the voicemail, I don't feel bad at all now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish up.
No, I was just going to say, so, if you, as a property owner, commercial property owner, or as a business owner, you've got greater liability exposure than as just a normal homeowner, and that's something that at our agency that we focus on as well. And like I said, we don't get into the health insurance and disability and a lot of that other stuff because we're not trying to be experts at everything. We don't want to be a jack of all trades. We want to focus on specific areas and be as good as we can, as expert as we can in those areas.
Well, I can only especially like restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I could think because somebody slip on a floor or something.
Sure.
Because in a restaurant, you could have some greasy spot somewhere, and somebody slip and fall, and
or if you're serving alcohol and somebody has a little too much to
gosh.
drink and goes out and has an accident and tries to claim, there's so many exposures for restaurants in particular. That's can be volatile.
Well, since you bring alcohol up, that's always a fun topic for people. If I'm having a party, which we have alcohol, do I have liability if somebody gets hurt or something there?
Oh, you potentially, yes.
And I'm not talking about necessarily just business. I'm just talking about.
No, if you're having friends over and you set up an open bar
Yeah.
for everybody to help themselves, then there's a potential exposure there because we do live in a litigious society.
Yeah, we do.
And you don't have to be wrong for somebody to sue you.
Yep.
They can claim that you're responsible and take you to court. And again, that's why you have liability protection included in your homeowner's policy and in business policies, so that if you are responsible for their damages, that coverage is there to help pay for those damages. It's also there to help pay for your legal expenses or legal defense if you're not responsible.
What about because a lot of people when serve alcohol at weddings and
Right.
stuff like that is where if you do a wedding at wherever you do the wedding.
Right. That's actually going to vary by the facility where it's held. What we're talking about is liquor liability coverage. Any restaurant serving alcohol is going to have that. But most facilities will have that. If you're renting a wedding facility or a meeting place, but we actually sell wedding insurance.
Really?
We sell wedding insurance that will cover things like having to reschedule because of weather, financial loss due to the lack of performance of one of your vendors. Say your caterer or your photographer. Multiple different things like that could be included, and if you're serving alcohol, we can include liquor liability for that, and it's based on the number of guests that you have.
Does that include the what do you call it? Where do you go after the wedding?
The bride changing her mind and leaving? No.
Yeah. No coverage for that. Or the honeymoon. That's what I was.
No, this is strictly a one day for that one event.
Okay.
It's an event coverage, for that.
So if something happened, I couldn't make my air to
right.
get to
Yeah,
my honeymoon.
that would be travel insurance. Yeah, that you would purchase through.
Well, that's interesting. I guess so. You can get insurance for anything.
Oh, we do. We've done hole-in-one coverage for these golf tournaments, where they're going to give away a car if somebody hits a hole in. Yeah, we do coverage for things like that.
Yeah. Well, you'll have no trouble if I'm up there.
Yeah. I'm low risk as well.
In fact, you could have just getting it on the green in one.
Right.
You'd still be pretty good.
Right.
If I'm the one.
Yeah.
Of course, I was playing with my son Joseph the other day, and as usual, I was beating him so bad. I had to just pull out. I felt so bad for him.
Beating him you mean you were hitting him with the club?
Yeah, that too. But anyway, we're talking insurance or anything real estate related. If you have any questions, 799-8255. Be right back with Success in Real Estate.
100.7 FM and 1470 AM.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser. I do all kind of stuff. I was just talking to Craig about all the things we do and what our niches are, and I think we decided we don't have a niche.
No, we must be too ADD.
We just do a little bit of everything. Well, it's 9:48 in the morning, and it is just about time to start our weekend. What do we got, another 6 hours?
I'm starting in 3. I'm not sure about you.
Well, I'm thinking about 10 more minutes. But and then the weekend will have begun, and we're looking forward to it. But here's a couple of things I want to make sure we do touch on. And by the way, if you're listening and you have any questions, give us a call, 799-8255. But I want to talk about like rental property investors.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things should I be considering or thinking about if I'm going to be renting property out? Or is that any different than just my regular home?
Yeah, it's absolutely different. It's basically the same policy as a homeowner's policy, except it's not going to include coverage for your personal property because it's a rental home. It's not, you don't have your stuff in there, or at least most people don't. Your big exposure from a rental property is things like theft, vandalism. In fact, most companies exclude those coverages. You can add them on at additional cost. But of course, a rental property, you're going to have that property sitting vacant at times between tenants, maybe 30, 60 days before you get somebody else, get the house cleaned up and someone else in there. And so there's a real exposure there for that empty house being vandalized or broken into, or even another type of loss. Let's say you had a water line rupture, run into your dishwasher. Well, you're not in that house every day. So that water could run for a while before someone discovers it. So, so you have some different exposures there, and let me back up for just a moment while we're talking about vandalism, because if I'm sure we have some folks listening that own rental properties, as you do, as I do. When we're talking vandalism, we're not talking about your tenant getting angry and kicking holes in the wall or busting a window out. If they're your tenant, you've given them legal access to that property, and they have every right to be there. So if they do that, and you're not able to collect money from them for those damages, that's just the cost of doing business. If, however, you've evicted that person, or their lease is expired and they move out, and they come back a week later, 2 weeks later, and do those things, well, that is vandalism because they no longer have legal access to that property. But so that's one thing to be aware of. If you do have a landlord's policy, make sure you have those coverages, the theft and the vandalism. Theft, one of the biggest issues there, I'm sure you may not have experienced, I have, and that's someone stealing an air conditioning unit.
I've heard, and I've talked to a lot of people have had. I haven't, praise God.
Yeah.
But that's gall.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you? I mean, that's not something you just stick in your pocket and walk off with.
No. They'll back up and rip them out. And
I had a client that did that, and the neighbor actually watched them do it.
Oh wow!
Now he didn't realize they were stealing it at the time.
Right.
But he noticed there was a huge spark. Where they just took the wire cut or whatever it is and just cut the electric line going to it.
Right.
And then just threw it in the back of their van and took off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Good grief. But they did catch them.
Good.
They were caught.
Good. Ours weren't.
So many people have cameras now.
Right.
And you go back, you pull a vehicle up there, there's a good chance they're going to get, because you can get your license plate number.
And I haven't come across a company yet that offers discounts on their homeowners or landlord policies for cameras, but I'd like to see that because it is very common now with doorbells that have cameras and people mounting other external cameras around. And it's a great idea. I love it. In
fact, I tell clients now when we're showing houses, just don't say anything while you're anywhere on that property that you don't want the seller to hear you say.
Right.
Because there's a better chance than not you're being recorded.
I hadn't even thought of that. Hadn't even considered that.
Oh, yeah. That is very common.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they think, especially if they're outside.
Right.
And that's not true. They've got, and it's usually in the doorbell.
Right.
They can have a camera and a microphone in there.
Right.
And they will be listening to every word you're saying. And if they're not home to hear it, it's being recorded.
Right.
So, you want to be very careful about stuff like that.
That's a good tip.
In fact, I tell when we're teaching at the school.
Now we're selling our house in Lexington, so now I'm going to have to go put a camera in.
Yeah. Well, I've got it at my house, and I got to tell you, my wife was not in favor of that when we did it. We almost put an alarm system in and the whole.
Right.
But now that we've got it, I don't think she'd go crazy without it.
Oh yeah, it's got to be some peace of mind.
Well, because you can see, and you don't have to go open the door to see who's out there. Now.
Right.
You can actually see who's standing at the door before you open it.
Right.
And you don't even have to be in the house. You can on your iPhone or whatever.
Well, like I said, I'd love to see companies start offering discounts for that because in my mind, that's greater protection than just a burglar alarm that's going to sound make a noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that's going to alert you and help identify, a possible criminal.
Well, they've got a. I don't have. Well, probably shouldn't say what I've got. No, I'm not going to tell you.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I'm going to be like Trump. I'm not going to say what we're going to do or what we can do. But I've got a friend of mine that if he said he's used it a few times, where people have walked up in his driveway or for whatever, after dark.
Right.
Well, he's got speakers out there too, and he's got a mean dog that's barking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, coming and they take off running when
right.
All they got to do is play that dog barking. That would work for me too. Yeah, I would leave. Yeah. I would leave if I heard that. But anyway, there's a lot of different things obviously you can do, but there's always a liability. But you know what? One of the things I do want to make sure we touch on, and I don't think many people know this, and I want you to kind of elaborate a little bit, but you cannot have homeowners insurance if you don't live in the home.
Right. Homeowners insurance is designed for owner-occupied properties, and that confuses some people. They just, well, again, back to people that have rental properties. Mm-hmm. They own a home and they buy a bigger home and move out and start renting this one out and don't even think, okay, well, I should have a landlord's policy on that one.
Or is it a dwelling policy? Or something, but
right.
Anyway.
Well, we refer to them as not the old-fashioned dwelling policies, which were just covered, things like fire and thunderstorm, but the modern landlord policy. Right.
Okay. So we got new stuff. See, we're good. But a lot of people don't know that, and maybe they've already bought a new house and moved into their new house, and whether they're renting out the old one or just putting it on the market, if it sits there vacant.
Oh, yeah.
Could that void their policy?
That's a risk. Right. Any insurance companies, just like we're talking about for landlord policies between tenants, insurance companies don't like vacant properties for the simple fact that something is more likely to happen when a home sits vacant, and the potential for damage is greater when that home is sitting vacant. So they absolutely do not like that. And the rule of thumb, the general practice for most of these companies, carriers, is that they don't want a property that sits vacant more than 30 days. And they'll have language that in the policy that allows them to non-renew or cancel that policy. So the big thing there is just the maintenance of the property. If you're maintaining a property, you don't have grass knee-high and shutters hanging off half crooked and litter in the yard. Or if the property is maintained, the company's going to be fine with that. They drive by and they can't tell it's vacant, then they're not going to have an issue. But if they can look at that property and know that it's been sitting there empty, they want off of it as fast as they can.
And I'm assuming because if they can tell it's vacant from the road, then a criminal or somebody seeking could tell also.
Right. Absolutely.
So I guess the important thing is if you're going to move out before you do anything, probably want to call your agent.
Call your agent, not your company. Call the agent.
Right.
Call the agent.
And let's find out what we need to do or consider or whatnot. Because the last thing you want to do is move out and then something happen to the house and then your insurance company say, well, you have voided your policy.
Right. You don't want to give them an excuse.
Yeah. And they will. If they can find a reason not to pay, they will.
Yeah, I mean, it's I won't say that applies in every case. There are good companies and there are bad companies, and we look at every company that we write for. We researched exhaustively through the number of complaints filed with the Department of Insurance, complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau, J.D. Power ratings. We're trying to, and even looking at their financial strength.
Yep. Real quick, how can we get in touch with you, Craig?
Number at the office is 728-3318, or you can go to gilesbrothers.com.
There you go. Or go to frankiegriffin.com, click on Real Estate Partners, and you'll find all their information listed right there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great weekend. You've been listening to Success in Real Estate on the Point.